I wanted to share about creativity. And one of my favorite Bible passages that I've been digging into lately is Genesis chapter 1. And one of the things that fascinates me is when the earth is formless and void, and there's no light, and there's chaos, the Spirit of God is there. And it says the Spirit was hovering over the waters in the midst of the chaos. And I just think there's something so powerful about the fact that there's the presence of God. He's there in the Holy Spirit when everything is chaotic and dark and crazy, but God's Spirit is there. And so in a creative process, I think we often go through times of darkness, I don't know what I'm doing, and chaos. But the Spirit of God is there. God's Spirit is not afraid of chaos and lack of order. In fact, He dwells there. And so I think any bit of creativity, you learn to get a bit comfortable with chaos and a lack of certainty. And it's while the Spirit is there hovering that God says, light be, light was. Boom! And then creation is off and running. And we know that the Holy Spirit was part of all of that. And I think as human beings, that's part of what it means to be made in God's image, that we have this capacity to create. And clearly we can create life. I have a daughter. That's something that God built into us. But I think we're able to create on so many levels. And God delights in creation. In fact, He created us to create. I love the fact that God lets Adam name the animals in Genesis, so I guess God could have said elephant, but He doesn't. He loves to partner with us in these areas, and He's like, Adam, what do you think that is? And Adam names the elephants and all the animals, and those are the names that God calls them as well. And as a parent, I remember when I was pregnant, I'm like, I get to pick the name of my child, and God's going to use that name. Wow, it's amazing. So there is this partnership that we see, and Lauren Cunningham, YWAM's founder, talks about co-creating with God, that our life walking with the Lord isn't just like, yes, sir, I'll do everything you tell me to do, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. There is this opportunity in our lives to be creating with God. So there will be times where God says, well, what do you think? What do you want to do? What should we do with this group going on a missions trip? And it forces you to search your heart and go, gosh, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to see happen? I've known a lot of people who I label as very creative who go, oh, I'm not creative. And I think in English we can limit that word to mean artistically creative. So you've got this giant Pinterest board and this amazing Instagram account and all this stuff, but creativity is going to come out in so many ways. Certainly the arts, whether that's visual art or music in any way, but I often look at sports as art. And so the World Cup is coming up and I'm like, oh, bring on Brazil, because what they do in my mind is artistic. And it's co-creating with their bodies and as a group as they're moving this ball. It's unchoreographed and it's spontaneous, and I just feel like that is creativity and that's art. And then I meet a lot of people who would say, oh, I can't draw, I'm not creative, but they're amazing problem solvers, and they come up with the most creative ideas. And so I'm pretty convinced that everybody's got a creative capacity in them, and that it grows with use. And so the more we use it, the more comfortable we feel with it, and the more interesting things we come up with, whether that's being a teacher and getting creative how you want to convey a concept, or whether it's kind of what we consider the arts, any kind of visual or musical arts, or problem solving, or entrepreneurs. I love being around small businessmen and women who are thinking of new ideas and how to bring things together. We have a new grocery store in our little town, and in our grocery store is a place where you can sit. There's a cafe, and you can buy kombucha on tap, and they've got great fresh pizza, and they bring in live music, and there's couches, and people just love to hang out there. That's incredibly creative thinking in my mind. When I think about being creative, I think there's two key elements that you need to have, and they're both freedom. You need the freedom to feel. And if you're ever in a place where your emotions get shut down, or you're not allowed to feel sad, or you're not allowed to feel mad, or you're not allowed to feel, it's going to restrict your creativity. And so I'm always happy when I hear of people that have a group of friends or a place where they're working where they have that freedom to feel. And then you also need the freedom to fail. And it's so clear to me that perfectionism kills creativity. And that perfectionism, I don't think it's in the heart of the Spirit of God at all. I think there is much more freedom than we ever imagined from the Lord. And if you find yourself in that place where you give yourself permission to feel and you give yourself permission to fail, you will be amazed at the things you think up, either by yourself or with a group or you and God or all of that all combined together. There's no limit to what you can think of. And so those are some of my thoughts on creativity.